while we are at it, I want to talk about, I was talking about HUD and federal funding. A federal dollar that comes in, and if it's utilized on one street, it'll affect the next street over. That entire to that next street, it'll affect the next street over. And this involves our contractors that's out here trying to work diligently every day. We have a company by the name of H&H Pavings out of Brooks County, and I think it's Quitman, Georgia, in fact. And they was a low bid on the project, and because they had a discrepancy in their paperwork, they took the project from them. The city said that they wrestled with this. Oh, they couldn't rest, they couldn't sleep at night, and they decided that since they had a discrepancy in his paperwork, they had to take the project and give it to someone else. That hurt that company. And by the city saying that they was working with, first of all, I'm moving a little too fast here. They have a program called the VSEB program, the Small Emerging Businesses. They wanted to replace that because they didn't want to use the word minority and set aside. So they said small emerging business, not minority business, small emerging businesses. That means that white companies, any companies that want to come in, it's a small emerging business, nothing pertaining to race, okay? So therefore there's no specifics and set asides for no women groups or no minority groups. But they had a set aside for the small, for the VSEB, the Valdosta All Emerging Business, and they had like a 10% set aside. Now what is 10% of $100,000, 10% of $10 million when it comes down to the large quantities of the monies? Mr. Curtis Head, the owner of H&H Pavings, when they lost the contract, he tried to discuss things with them. They actually took it from him. That hurt that company. And we need something to be done about that. We need them to take a look at this again and revisit it. But they moved on. So when we sit down and have open discussion with the city managers, with Mr. Mark Barber, the deputy city manager, they tells us that how they couldn't rest and how they really hated to see this happen, but yet still they took the project from the guy. And we don't feel that no justification is in that. And then when we come up with Section 3 and all the contractors that qualify and no one can make it, then we got evidence of redlining with these banks here in the city. There is just no money in this city. There's nothing set aside. There's no programs. No one's willing to work with the smaller contractors. In fact, they don't have to be a black contractor. It's a small business. And if they're not in the clique with the slicks, they are left completely out of the loop. And therefore, we don't get any money generating on our south side in the traditional black community, which is the integrated neighborhoods now. So now we have what we call integrated segregation. And therefore, when a young man like Kenneth Johnson died, that's why they can go and create these little cover-ups that they cover up and shove things on the rug, because this is their norm. This is what they normally do here. And this so happened, Mr. Johnson had some dedicated parents that stood on the issue and had a second autopsy done and this kind of thing, and therefore it shed some light on this big picture. And these are the type of things they do in this city. And they create cover-ups, and they cover their tracks as they go. And we don't get a chance to share in anything, no more than other than tragedies. That seems to be a practical part of our living here in this city. And it seems like we should own a service station, we should have some ownership in something. But you can't get any banks to cooperate with. Of course, we do have issues, but who don't have issues? But it's something that needs to be done, and somebody needs to sit down and see if we reconcile to a certain point to get something done.